Hi all, welcome to Generative AI demo class. This is Mady. I'm the one of the trainers here. So I'm the founder of Degenerative Academy. So in this class, I will try to give you our overview of our training. You know the the program that we created for people who want to learn generative AI. So we created basically a 3-month training program, 3-month program. So every day, Monday to Friday, every day, 1 hour, you have a class online via Zoom or something. Maybe another 1 hour, we can have a virtual lab, for practice, whatever task have been, assigned or, kind of taught in that class. Yeah, something like this. So by doing Monday to Friday every day, 1 2 hours a day, 3 months, if you follow this training program, you probably get a better idea what you can do in the space of generative AI. So let me tell you who this course is designed for. The first thing is it's designed for people who want to get into this field, both technically uh, and non-technical also, but there is but let me just write down. Yeah, technical means somebody who has like very basic idea of like programming, maybe basic idea of technology like computers and stuff like that. So technically, if they want to get into this path like generative AI path, we'll try to train them. Of course, they don't need any prerequisite. At least if you have good programming knowledge, I think that's what I would say, the prerequisite or something. Yeah, basic any programming language, not necessarily the language, Java, Python, C, C++, whatever language at least basics like pro or data types, arrays, lists and stuff like that mostly. Yes, if you are only learning generative AI for non-technical purposes, maybe you have a business background, you wanna apply these generative AI, you can still kind of follow our demo. But most of our course, most of the time, the people that we target or we want to kind of train are mostly technical people or people who want to get into technical field, like mostly. But of course, occasionally we also conduct some training programs for non-technical people in the generative AI space. But this demo, I'll probably mostly focus on the technical people only. So yeah, let me tell you what generative AI is like. You probably know AI. I mean, you know AI, but technically there is no such thing as AI. Actually, technically it's more like it's just like a data plus computation. That's AI. So I'll try to tell you what generative AI is. We also created a small, brochure to explain what generative AI is in shortest way possible. Yeah, something like that. We said something like using AI technology, the ability to generate data like text, image, audio, video is called generative AI. Very shortest way to explain that. Yeah, the word generative, it's like a generate, like you generate something. Uh, Mostly you generate data. So what is the data here? Like I call it text. So ChatGPT is a good example. You ask a question, the ChatGPT model will generate text answer to you. So there is also image. You can generate an image, something like maybe I can ask a piece of text. So this is the example, I think. Yeah, you can see that given a piece of text, it can generate a piece of image. For example, a cat is eating ice cream in the beach. That is the input. I'll get the output of below images from AI model, like basically. So this is what we call text to image generation. Similarly, you can generate audio and video also. So video is probably the advanced level, but text, image, audio is pretty much nowadays it's very common. Like so, these are possible combinations that you can have. For example, you can see text, image, audio, video. This is what we call data. Example, we call unstructured data. You can see text to image, text to audio, text to video. Same thing, image to text, image to audio, image to video. So all like there are 16 possible combinations. Yeah, that's what generative AI is all about, like, mostly to generate data, text, audio, image, video. That's pretty much it. Like, so the idea of this field is very interesting because if you look at our, you know, basic our life, like before generative AI, after generative AI, it's a little different actually. For example, let's say if I want to, I'm doing something, maybe I'm working in a computer, I'm writing some code or something at my computer. This is me. So if there is a problem here, maybe I need to write some code. I don't know how to start it. Like I have no idea. Maybe so the best place I go to is internet. So typically Google. So I go to Google. I ask like, hey, I want to do this. Can you help me? So what Google does is Google does a bunch of Google stores a bunch of links that are very relevant to this the question I asked. Maybe Google gives those links. Maybe I can open each link and I can see how to kind of solve this particular problem or something like that. So this was before generative AI. Now, what happens after generative AI? So still I'm at the same position. I want to write something. I don't know where to go. Again, I can go for this path like Google, but now I switch to AI models. Whatever AI model you use, you can use ChatGPT, Google model, whoever created, Facebook model, whoever created, you can simply ask that kind of question or something. It will kind of generate or at least give me a personalized guidance for me to kind of solve that particular problem. So that's what's happening nowadays, and it will continue to happen in the future. Not in the future, even present right now. Also, I'll have a button here, something like this. If I click here, that button will do the coding or whatever that particular task I'm asking for. It's already integrated in many of applications, but still, there's a lot more opportunity to grow in this field. So that was how the human behavior is changing, and that's definitely a good thing for improving my productivity. See, at the end of the day, every company wants their employees to do more work in less time. That's it's a never-ending thing. I want more work, less time, in less time. So with AI tools, if you use proper, like in a way that you can get the things done, you can generate more work, you can get more work done in very short amount of time. And there is a global level optimization happens. And that's what I was trying to maybe, yeah, key benefits to the society, the productivity increase. You can have wide variety of creativity. For example, let's say if I want to tackle this problem, I can maybe directly get the answer, or I can tell, hey, how about we give this answer? How about we try that? How about we do this? We do that. You can in a way brainstorm with that AI to give you wide varieties of responses. Like that doesn't happen with the Google, that doesn't happen with the traditional internet or searches mostly like. So, and it could be very personalized too as well over a period of time. And of course, reduce the cost, save effort, accuracy might improve. It depends on the how much what kind of problem you're solving. But obviously, at every problem there is some problem, and it will improve over a period of time. So these, because of these kind of tasks, these are some of these roles are kind of impacted. Again, these are some of them. There are a lot more. Here it's like content creators. So for example, if you want to create some content, obviously I can have my unique idea to create a content, or I can just brainstorm with computer actually. So if you look at the company that I created here, so a lot of, if I look at my ChatGPT history, let's say, so I'll open my ChatGPT history. In a way, a lot of times I ask, like I brainstorm with the computers. Maybe let me see these, some of them. Yeah, something like this. You can see I was asking like, so this is an SQL actually. So I was kind of teaching SQL. So I was just asking that, hey, give me that, give me this and stuff like that. So in a way, there are a lot more opportunities here to create content or, kind of get the, ideas from AI or generative AI. Artists, designers, photo, video editors, there are tools to do it. Medical professionals, of course, there's some, obviously human intervention is required, but, some of things you can completely uh, use generative AI to kind of sort this out in this medical field. Musicians, you can create a music, you can create image, voice actors. Yeah, some of these roles are like impacted by generative AI. So there's a saying, AI does not replace you, the person who's using AI replaces you. Like the reason is like the whatever the work you want to do, it's not the work is getting replaced. It's like the one who's doing the work is getting replaced. So if you're doing the work compared to a AI doing the work, then obviously we prefer AI to do the work. Depends on the work, but mostly very cost effective is AI work. So yeah, when people say that AI will replace, it's not the technology, it's more the usage, the implication, the uses of the technology, how other people use that. Like, I think enough of the basic high level talk of generative AI, how it impacts what we can do with it. So let me tell you how we create our training program, how it's will kind of, we are hoping at least it kind of helps you learn the generative AI in short amount of time possible. Let's talk about that. So as I told you, generative AI is all about generating data, which could be text, which could be image, audio, and video. That's all. That's all. There's nothing much. To do this, what kind of things you require typically? The first thing is you have to know good. You have to have some idea about the data. Like, what is data? So if you have some statistics background, or if you have some any kind of data background, then that is a good place to start. So you need to know about the data, like how the data is stored actually. Stored in the sense, like, for example, if you look at image, what we see is an image, something like that. Let's say this is a photo, but computer, it's not an image, it's just a bunch of numbers we call pixel values, something like that. So you have to know that information. Hey, image is nothing but a bunch of pixel values. So it has a lot of numbers. So typically they say 0 to 255, 0 being black, white being white. Sorry, 255 being white, something like that. So for us, maybe normal human being, we say it's a photo. Hey, this is a photo. But as a guy, as a computer guy, you should see the photo as it's a bunch of pixels. So in a way, if I want to generate this image, I don't need to generate this image. I need to generate these pixel values in a way that looks like image. That's it. So I need to create a tool that can generate these pixel values. That's it. That's pretty much it. So the first thing is you have to have a good idea about data. Oh, that's one. Then next thing is you should have a good about programming any programming language, not necessarily one. But nowadays, most properly, Python is the one. I would also recommend Python because you could do a lot more things. So yeah, and it's simple, easy to learn. So programming you should have. That's the one. I would recommend also to have some machine learning. There's a concept of machine learning. Uh, yeah, even though it's not fully, useful, but again, at least like 30% of it is good enough for you to get into this field. Of course, the more you know, the better. Then there is a concept of deep learning, and this is where you have neural networks. When kind of these topics will come into the picture, like this is where you have to learn the advanced stuff. Again, deep learning also may not be you don't need to do a lot, but typically, let's say 60% of it would be great. Like, but yeah, the more you learn, the more you know gain. I mean, so then to do generative AI, there are some things like GANs they call the GANs, or variational autoencoders they call, like something like that. These are like algorithms in a way. You should focus on these a lot actually, because this is fundamental actually. If you know these two, at least, I think you have a pretty good understanding of how generative AI in a way, like very easily. Again, these are the algorithms based on, kind of, in a way, you could use deep learning here a bit, but the philosophy is very interesting to generate things, like generate data, like. Yeah, that's what I say. And the another thing would be like when you do generative AI, you need to apply on two areas, two domains. One is computer vision, CV we call, which is like image and video. The other one is NLP, text, or some speech maybe, text, some audio, some. Of course, audio has a different thing, but still, sometimes audio to text, text to audio, we do that. So maybe computer vision, NLP, and speech, maybe. Yeah, these are the domains. You should have some understanding of these domains. So what is a computer vision, how they as I told you, that image is nothing but a bunch of pixel values. That's part of a computer vision fundamentals. Same thing, text means, NLP means, for example, if I say this is a demo, so that's a text. So we have to understand how this computer will read this text, how computer will understand this text. You might say, okay, maybe they take these as the keys or something like that, but how do they understand the meaning of it? Like, I could use the same statement in different situations. How do meaning changes, how the context works. So there's a lot of NLP will be there here. That's something you have to understand in this domain. So yeah, once you have a good idea about computer vision and NLP, then you have to focus on the current state of the art models. Current, I would say, state of the art models. So what are the current state of the art models do, and how their architectures, how they are designed in a way. For example, let's say if you look at NLP part, ChatGPT, you try to analyze, hey, what is a ChatGPT like? What is that like? Is it like they call it LLM, large language model? But anyway, so you just try to analyze it, how the LLM work, what kind of model they use, how the neural network is trained, what data they use. Yeah, you just have to know the current state of the art models. Again, this keeps on changing because every month we are getting new models. Obviously, in the future, every day, every week, you might get a new model by development. That's the kind of progress we are doing. So yeah, you just have to understand the current state of the art models. That's probably a good step, I would say. Then maybe I would recommend to learn reinforcement learning. There's a part of reinforcement learning. I think that's a good way to think about it. Right? So this is a completely different way than machine learning and deep learning. Of course, there's some correlations. We also use deep learning and reinforcement learning, but uh, if you learn reinforcement learning, you will get a little better idea about the generative AI and stuff like that. And then they have like generative AI, strong AI, we call strong AI papers, models. You just have to learn. Example like LLMs I mentioned, right? ChatGPT, by ChatGPT is a LLM, basically. Large language models, they call something like that. Large language models. But before you do large language models, you should know what is NLP. NLP is what is text, what is a vector, what is embedding, what is word vector. I mean, there are a lot of word vector. What is transformer? Like, I can go on. Like, these are all technical topics to follow. Then GPT comes, BERT, GPT, then GPT 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So yeah, I think this is all the good way to focus on. I think that's what we also created our training program. So we have, like you can see, 3 months training program. Uh, every day, 1 hour, you have a class online, live only. So we mostly focus on practical learning only. As I said, like, roughly good. So so these are the 4 pillars that I was talking about. The first one is you have a good idea about the data, like, pretty much like, like, of course, I assume that you have a programming knowledge, but if you don't have it, it would be a little difficult. It would take some time, but we assume that you have some Python knowledge. But if you still don't have, you can of course learn Python parallelly, and you can start doing generative AI. Then there are some data science libraries, I would say, like NumPy, Pandas, maybe some data visualization libraries are there. So you just have to learn those. So this is all like in a way data science, I would say, but you focus on unstructured data. So unstructured data means image, audio, video, the stuff like. Then if you know some pipelines like ETL pipeline, API calls, some cloud storage stuff, I think that would be pretty good for you to arrange the data, kind of create a pipeline, call an API, yeah, stuff like that. So this first pillar, it just get you started like with the data and programming. Then the second pillar, you can see machine learning and deep learning. So this is where you just learn about machine learning, maybe some of the machine learning algorithms, end-to-end pipelines like regression, classification, clustering mostly. Yeah, ML algorithms, stuff like that. Then we go for deep learning. Deep learning and machine learning concepts wise may be same, but algorithms wise, there's something called neural networks. So that is different in deep learning. In machine learning, there are no neural networks. They're just ML algorithms. Yeah, so you have to learn about the neural networks, how neural networks work, different optimized techniques, and you have to learn the deep learning packages like PyTorch, TensorFlow, Keras. We recommend PyTorch because based on my understanding, most of the models, it's very easy to learn PyTorch and it's very clear to me. So I hope it will be clear to you as well. Okay. Maybe you learn the advanced deep learning networks like CNNs we call RNNs, LSTMs, stuff like that. And if you know some cloud tools to practice or deploy or train the models, I think that would be good. So that was the second pillar, I would say that. So up to deep learning. Then you go to the third pillar, which is where the computer vision NLP comes. So computer vision, of course, that's a 50%. NLP is remaining 50. On computer vision, you learn the computer vision fundamentals like image, pixels, uh, kind of editing the image, changing the pixel values, what happens, maybe transforming the image, playing rotation, scaling, and stuff like that. There are so many computer vision fundamentals there. Then there's something like object classification, which is image classification, localization, detection, and segmentation. So there are four pillars are there. So maybe if you have good idea about these four pillars, that would be great. Then you plan enhancement, correction. If you have good idea of computer vision, I think you do really well in this field. Like, similarly, parallelly, maybe you can go for NLP as well. So what is text, data, kind of things we could do in the text? What are the embeddings? What are the classifications, sentiment analysis, language models, transformers, this and that, like mostly. So these things you have to learn parallelly because they are completely different. But there's some correlation is there when it comes to classification, some of the models. Then you have some part of reinforcement learning maybe, or you can go for GANs also. So it depends on your interest. We'll have to either go for GANs first, then reinforcement and later. It depends. Yeah, I can see GANs and variational encoders are the must. If you know GANs, I think that's the most of generative AI. Yeah, if you understand the GANs completely, you know the what generative AI is all about. Like, then you try to do image generation, text generation, audio generation, and multimodal tasks and use cases you try. And there are various generative AI tools available. There's so many are there, of course, but you try the most popular, common ones. And there are so many AI models, Gen AI models available. And you experiment and try which one works, which one doesn't, what's the problem, what is this, that. Like, then you go for language models, small language models, large language models, and you try to create maybe your own chat GPT kind of a thing. Again, given our computer resource available, like computation. Yeah, something like that. Like maybe you focus on reinforcement learning later, or you can try, parallel. Depends on our interest. So this is what we design. So if somebody a newbie comes, they want to get into the deep generative AI in shortest time possible, like 3 months of, 2 months, 3 months. So this is what we figured out the best way to train a human network. Right? I mean, just like neural network, human network also very same as neural network. As I said, most of the time we focus on deep learning only because that's the majority of part. If you understand the deep learning, that would be great. Then, of course, you have to know the generative AI tools, models and tools, architectures and stuff like that. Then we go for some part of reinforcement learning, then NLP, computer vision, and machine learning. So we assume that you have some Python idea. If not, then it will take some time, but we hope at least you know some programming language. We can give recap, but it would be very good if you already know Python. So yeah, these are some of the tools that we think are good to use based on our experience. Based on my experience, these are the tools that make me productive at my work. So if I want to, take up any generative AI project, I think these tools are good enough for me to, of course, there are some more, and every day new tools are coming, but generally these tools are very standard to do generative AI for learning as well as working. So, yeah, yeah, I think this is the mind map. I would say that to learn generative AI, to train, this is a good mind map. You should have a good idea about data and Python, then machine learning, then deep learning, then reinforcement learning, then strong AI, GANs, transformers, LLMs, frameworks like that. Yeah, this is not required, I think. See, overall, what we say is we created this training program to train you, in this particular field. Uh, and we designed this way because based on our past experience, by following this way, somebody could acquire the knowledge that need uh, to go into a company to work for something. Yeah, this is what I also say. So let me just pause and think. Anything else I should be adding to this one? Mm, maybe I can, ask some questions from your side. Maybe I can, kind of answer it. Like, so one of the questions that we get asked a lot is like, uh, is generative AI like complex? That means like the question is like, can I do generative AI? Can I learn generative AI? Is it really complex? I mean, that's very question. Uh, Actually, as a trainer, I would say it's very easy because I mean, there's nothing is there. It's very easy only. But the thing is, the reason why it's a complex, I would say that for few, one is like getting the data is very hard, and having the computing power is hard actually. That is, I would say, complex. That is where you struggle a lot. But if you look at the algorithm or model or in any technical aspect, technical part of generative AI, the technical part of generative AI is very easy actually. So the problem only happens when you want to have a right data and the right I mean, more computing power to train the AI models. So that is little you know that's really complex, especially a beginner like you. Obviously, you cannot really spend more money or time on computing power and data. So, so yeah, given your current situation, it's very hard for you to, getting these things done. That's complex. But technically, the concepts are very easy. Everybody can learn generative AI if they put their, if they have interest, if they follow the guide that we created. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the only guide you can follow, obviously your guide, but we're also trying to optimize our learning path, just like neural networks try to learn. We also try to train human minds the way people train neural networks. So we find that this is the best way to train a human mind in this particular field. I mean, to get into this particular field. Yeah, maybe there might be some new training academies that come to train the human beings in a different way. Uh, I hope there will be more, but at this time we figured out these are the optimal learning parameters. Yeah, that's the one question. Mostly they say, can I learn? Yes, you can. Only problem happens is data and computing power, but mostly technically everything is easier. It's not that big a difference. The second question they ask very stupidly actually, do I get jobs? Do I get a job or do I get opportunities and stuff? The reason why I say it's very stupid is like the future is everything will be generative AI. I mean, I don't see why it's not like, everything will be generative AI. Even right now, after you learning the course, after even 1 year after also, you might be not having any job, let's say that, but the skill that you acquire is definitely needed for the society. You're learning a skill that is needed for the society. I don't see the possibility why you won't get opportunities, any job opportunities, any work opportunities. I find very stupid. But skill matters. Obviously, competition also would be there. If two people know same thing, then obviously there won't be any job for one person, for the person there's job. But I do see that future will be fully generative AI. I do see that there is a huge need of generative AI for the society. So I'm very optimistic about jobs. So like if you have good skills, you get opportunities somewhere, I'm sure. Some people say that they want to switch. This is also a common question. They say that, hey, I'm working on, I don't know, Java domain. I mean, people usually ask us, I'm working on Java domain. I'm switching to generative AI. Is it okay to do it? So somebody will say that I'm a testing background. I want to do Gen AI. So that's again another question. Yeah, similarly, people have different profiles. They want to switch to generative AI career. Is that possible? How is it possible? That's the question actually. So actually, if you have any domain knowledge, anything, Java, Python, testing, whatever field if you move to generative AI, I think that's probably the best way I mean, that helps a lot actually compared to the people who are very fresh, who have no idea, and they have to go generative AI. The reason why I say that in generative AI or neural networks in AI, you have things like you already have some knowledge of something. You're not a fresh network. You're already having some neurons on your mind. Some knowledge is there, whatever they learn you have here. I think going into generative AI, if you think that it's kind of resonating with you, this field is kind of attractive to you. I think you have more opportunities than the normal people, like the newbies mostly, right? So in a way, I definitely recommend anybody who's having a different profile, I would recommend you to switch them if the subject seems interesting to you. If the subject seems interesting to you, you would do mine. In a way, I would recommend that based on my experience. I've based on my experience, and I'm telling you this one. You don't choose AI actually. In a way, AI chooses you. I would say, because once you come to AI, in a way you will feel naturally like, hey, this field is good. I mean, I like it. I want to do more. It's very hard for you to turn down the field. Hey man, this is not good, this is not bad. I mean, it's very hard, like I can tell you that. So yeah, but you have to taste it, obviously. So I would recommend you to taste it and see if it resonates with you. If it resonates with you, then I would recommend you to jump on it, like without a further ado. So yeah, that's another common question. And there is two more common questions, then we can end it. Uh, the fourth one, what I hear the most is, than these, basic one is like, uh, is there a lot of programming, like more programming, more coding? This is again another stupid question, I think. Most asked questions are stupidest questions, in my opinion, actually. Uh, More coding. Uh, I would say no, actually. It's like 99% no, I would say. Yeah, of course, there's coding. I'm not saying there's no coding, but in AI, there is no such thing as like you don't write a logic in AI. You will predict the logic in AI. So let me write it down. Uh, you don't write a logic in AI. So that's a core philosophy of AI. You predict, you predict the logic in AI. Predict the logic. That's the core philosophy of AI. So you need a lot of coding, a lot of programming when you want to write a logic. That is where the whole idea of coding comes, or programming comes. So if you want to write a logic, that is where coding comes. But in AI, you don't write logic. You simply predict it, like so with the past data, obviously. So in a way, if there is a more programming involved, no, there is no coding much. Of course, there is some coding, obviously. I'm not telling you that there is no coding, don't learn coding or anything. But that coding is just to automate your work. That's it. Automate your thinking, automate the pipelines. That's it. That's all. Like it's all about experimentation and experimentation with models, data, maybe some tricks, maybe some logics you can add. But those logics based on math sometimes, maybe those logics based on some common sense sometimes. Uh, yeah, but there is no much coding required for that, even to do those experiments. With models, sometimes logic, maybe sometimes data. Mostly models and data is the most common. Maybe some tricks, let's say, instead of logic, also trick. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I think this is the another question I get asked: is more program, more coding, more programming involved? I would say no, but you have to write some coding and something. Yeah. Last question before we wrap up the demo class is uh, again, this is very common question, but I feel really bad to give the answer because it doesn't. A lot of people don't really resonate with the answer. I mean, they don't. I don't know, like, but I'll put it anyway. So, will I get a job after the course? Which is very similar. Do I get a job opportunity here? Actually, do I get job opportunities here? It's very similar on this one. Will I get a job after this course? Is it a job-oriented course or something like that? So I would gently say that this is a not a job-oriented course. This is a skill. What do you call, like, let's say skill improvement. Let's say something like yeah, skill development. Let's say I think that sounds good. Skill development program. But we mostly focus on real time things only, like, because whatever is open out there, open source, we can look at that, or open source model, open source algorithm, open source papers. So if you go work in a company, you would get that only. You would not need any other information. You won't get any other information other than the open information that is available. Maybe if you go to a company, maybe the company might have different data, they might have different techniques, but nobody can be able to tell you those techniques unless those company guys only train you. So in a way, we would say that, will I get a job? To ask that question, this is more like a skill development program. Although it's a skill development program, if somebody has an opportunity to do some startup or some work in this field of generative AI, there is a high percent of chance that they hire you compared to other people, given the set of requirements that we designed. Like, so in that case, maybe you might get a job. You might get some opportunities, even from us, or even by your own also. But at the end of the day, what I recommend you to, if you focus on improving your skills in this field, or if you're only learning for completely for skill purposes, I think this program will help a lot. But job is something that I would recommend you will get it if the right opportunities you find it, like, so there is a small thing we follow in our kind of academy. So this is like a work. This is like a kind of a skill, or whatever skill you have here. So this is the job part. Actually this is job, this is work, I guess. Maybe something like that. Yeah, maybe you can think of like this also. So the intersection is part where this is the employer sits, this is you, employee. Like, employee has a lot of skill, employer has a lot of work. This is employer, let's say. This is employee. So employee has a lot of skills, but majority of skills are not needed to do some work. So maybe this intersection is part is where both people agree, actually. Both people will have win-win situation. It doesn't matter how much skill you have. If the employer does not need those skills for their work, uh, it doesn't matter. The same thing if the company has a lot more, kind of work, but you have only the right skills to do that work, then also doesn't matter. So anyway, the intersection part is what we say that you have to crack. Your right skills, the right work has to match in order to society to grow. Not necessarily a startup or company to succeed, a society to grow. Of course, if a company succeeds, society grows. There's a correlation between them. But sometimes people just do experiments. They might fail. They do experiments. They fail. So in a way, if you work for a startup, the startup does 3 years of work, but some new company will come. That new company will, kind of make your startup absolute. Then all the work you did here is wasted, like, in a way, because new company really made your company absolute, like. So yeah, it's very hard to find the right the intersection part. So I hope that you would go to the companies, you'll find the opportunities where your right skills are used at right amount of tasks. In a way, both get win-win. Yeah, I think I want to start there. So yeah, these are the questions I get asked. I just want to clarify that to you as well. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, Whatever I want to say it. Of course, if you want to have a conversation with me, how things work, uh, I'm I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Yeah, if you have any questions, anything you want to ask, please feel free to get back to me or us. So I thank you for watching till the end, and have a great day or night to you. Bye bye.